Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Through the Fire. I am your host, Ryan Wickline, and today we have a very special guest. She is a traumatic brain injury survivor who now helps others heal, Ms. Danielle Matthews. How you doing today, Danielle?
I'm good, Ryan. I'm really good.
Awesome. I'm kind of excited to hear how you turned your pain into purpose.
Yeah, well, it it happened out of nowhere, and for me, it was kind of like I had to survive for a little while, and then I realized the power of what I had gone through and what it meant for me. To kind of give some perspective, I was hit by a drunk driver when I was 23, and you know. I don't know about you, Ryan, but when I was 23, I did not have a plan B in place. I did not have a lot, I wasn't ready for my life to be turned upside down. I had just graduated college. I had found my first job. I was teaching. I was really loving it. I was living out in Denver, Colorado, snowboarding on the weekends. I had been an avid snowboarder for most of my life, a big competitive athlete. I had competed in college too. And I was living my dream. And then all of a sudden, in a matter of seconds, one morning, it was 7 o'clock in the morning, a guy passed out after being out all night and hit me head on. And that changed everything. And it's kind of crazy. You watch movies, you see these like storylines of this happening, but you never think like that's going to be my reality, right? It happens to other people. Like, I do the right thing. It's not going to happen in my world. And it did. and all of a sudden I found myself with the inability to concentrate for more than about 10 minutes. Really was when I just got completely overwhelmed after about 10 minutes of focus. And I was incredibly sensitive to light and to noise. Even just natural light felt like too much. It felt like somebody had a flashlight in my eye. And so I put blackout fabric, in the windows in my bedroom because I couldn't even handle that. And I was just in bed. And thankfully, it was summer break. So I was off from school, from teaching. And I thought, okay, like the athlete in me, right? I've been injured before. You just kind of push through, you deal with it, and you keep showing up. And so I tried to push. I tried to go back to work in the fall when kids came, and it became very clear very quickly that like life had changed dramatically, that the Danielle I had known no longer existed. And I was dealing with a really major issue.
Man, that is crazy. How was your mindset at that time when you realized, hey, my life has changed drastically and I can't do what I love to do?
Yeah, denial, I think, the original mindset. And then this just like this, I think like I mentioned, the competitor, like this athletic, like, well, just push through, you can do this, and doctors at the time were telling me, okay, well, first it was a month and then it didn't clear up. And then they said, well, 3 months. And I thought, okay, I can do it for 3 months. And then at my 3-month appointment, nothing had changed. And they said, okay, 6 months. And so I'm like, all right. So just like kind of gritting and bearing, as well as just looking at every possible avenue out there for help. Because Western medicine at that time, this is 2012, brain injury was like sort of just coming onto the scene. I know it's kind of strange to think about because now we have advanced so far in that space, for those that are familiar. But like this was just when like the movie Concussion came out, and they were talking about our soldiers coming back with TBI, and the NFL was starting to be accountable to the brain injuries that their players were facing. And so it was just kind of coming into, I remember a friend of mine was going through medical school, and he called me and he goes, Danielle, like, brain injury is like, it's the sexy new frontier. Like, this is where everything's at right now. And I was like, well, it might be nice to study. It is not nice to live it. but that was the reality. And so the sort of traditional, like I call it Western way of looking at the body, right? Okay, they didn't have anything to offer except just sit and wait. Every brain injury takes a different amount of time. We don't really have anything to offer you. I didn't have a bleed on my brain. I wasn't having to relearn how to walk or talk. It was more these issues of like, I just couldn't handle input, and I had severe migraines, debilitating. So I couldn't function, couldn't work, lost my job, lost my income, all of that. And so I really said, okay, let's find something. And fortunately, my mom, she had owned a yoga studio in Annapolis, Maryland. And because of that, she'd gotten to know like the wellness community, acupuncturists, osteopaths, chiropractors, these people that are more alternative. And so they were throwing everything at me. And I was trying all of it. I was just staying open. My original mindset was like, I got to get through this. And, I want to get back to my life. I'd put my stuff in storage. I very much thought this is something like, it's just a little side, little bump in the road. We're going to get past it. And then at my 1-year appointment, my neurologist basically said to me, look, Danielle, with your type of injury, the body's done all the healing it's going to do. Like, this is just your new normal. You need to shape your life around it and just get used to these symptoms. And that was a big, that was, I think, when something in me had to shift, because it was, that was really hard to hear.
Yeah, I can only imagine, especially being an athlete. I mean, we all have that. The athlete in us wants to look for that big payoff, that big leap.
Yeah.
That big leap, and you know what I'm talking about. We're looking for that big leap.
Yeah, exactly.
In everything.
You go through the pain to get the gain, right? It's like you push, you grit, you bear it, because there's gonna be payoff to that. And that's kind of how I would have been like, okay, I can handle this. You can do anything for a year. That was kind of like, all right, you got this, you can do it. And the reality was, I had been, as I said, sort of in denial, not really accepting this new normal. I was sort of refusing to, saying no, I need to push. I need to find something else. And unfortunately, it was like the Danielle that I knew was sort of slipping through my fingers. It was like, all of a sudden, doctors are telling me, well, you can never snowboard again, because if you hit your head again, you risk this and more. You're done. Your brain injury, they're cumulative. This is it. And so I'm like, okay, I'll never be able to snowboard again. And then, they're telling me this is your new normal. I'm like, well, I can't handle being on a computer, listening to music. I can't handle looking at a phone. I can't, how am I ever going to be able to work again? So this idea of everything that I used to do, because I was a high performer, in school as well. I went to a top university, graduated, with honors, all these things. So I was used to being able to do really well in the external world. And my identity was wrapped up in that. And so it was kind of wild to see these things sort of stripped from me, and the reality setting in of you're not going back there. And depression in a very large way started to set in. And then at the same time, sort of in tandem with the depression, was extreme anxiety, because I couldn't think about my future. It was like, well, if I'm not able to do these things, how will I ever live independently again? How will I ever earn an income again? I was watching my friends going on, as I mentioned, the one in medical school. I had others going on to get MBAs at Harvard, at Yale, getting their PhDs. I'm watching, because this is, mid-20s, people just going on sort of to the next level of their careers, the next level of what they wanted to do. And I'm sitting on the sidelines of life going this doesn't seem possible for me. And it was a dark time. It was really, the panic attacks were intense. And I realized after my neurologist said well, this is your new normal, I realized something's got to give. Something needs to change, because I can't live with me. I cannot live with this depression and this anxiety on top of, the physical head injury.
Yeah. So how were you able to overcome the accident and restore your health?
Well, phases. So the first thing I had to really address was my internal world. It was my mental chatter. It was my thoughts. It was my emotions, because I realized essentially, Ryan, okay, I can't change my physical reality. I cannot change the fact that I got hit. I cannot change the fact that I have an injury. I've tried everything, and I'm not going to stop trying, looking for options for the physical healing. But I just said, okay, temporarily, I need to just accept that sort of new rules have been put on my life. And I said, all right, if there are new rules in this game of life, how do I win? And to me, winning was just simply being happy. And so I said, okay, it does not make me happy when I think about my past. It makes me severely depressed, and it makes me incredibly anxious to think about my future. So I just literally refused to let my thoughts go in either direction. I forced myself into the present moment. And I made myself just go, okay, right here, right now, what could I choose to do that would make me happy? And sometimes it was okay, well, I'm going to put strawberries in my salad because I like the way strawberries taste. So I'm going to have strawberries today. Just the littlest details of what I could do in the present moment. I'm going to go pet my dog. I'm going to go stand outside and I'm going to look at the trees. I love nature. So that was good. I'm going to call my grandparents. I'm going to talk to my grandparents, because they were always willing to they were around, right? They weren't busy. All my friends were busy. So there were little things that I started to realize I could do. I'm going to make a new recipe, right? I'm going to cook. And I started little by little, I mean, literally like 10-minute chunks of my life. I would say, what can I do now? What can I do now? What can I do now? And that was when my inner world started to shift. And I had this realization that I'm not my thoughts. I don't have to listen to them. The energy that they take in my brain is proportionate to the allowance I have of them, to the energy that I give them. And if I don't feed them, they don't grow. And if I stop paying attention to them, they wither away. And that was a massive, I mean, talk about liberation. Like, mind chatter is something so many people deal with, just a constant chattering of the mind. And usually it's not nice. If you were to verbalize what that little voice was saying, like, you wouldn't hang out with the person. Like,
Yeah.
but yet we tolerate it inside of our own minds. And I just said, enough is enough. We're not doing that. And it was literally out of survival, because that little chat in my head was saying, you should just kill yourself. This isn't worth it. What is the point of living if this is your life? And I was like, we're not going there, like, we're not. We're shutting that down, and we're figuring out something else.
Yeah, that is like so true about that chatter. I work with a lot of high school athletes, and we cover present moment of how to stay in the moment. And hey, you're going to have these thoughts. These thoughts are just going to run through your head when you're like meditating, doing deep breathing. Just, you got to let them be. You're always going to have these thoughts, but so how hard was it for you to try to stay in that moment? Because I know for them it is really hard.
It's a massive discipline. And, unbeknownst to me, it's a huge spiritual practice. That's why people meditate. That's what deep breathing does. It brings you into the present moment. And it's like, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, for me, it was completely out of just survival and necessity. But what happened was, as I found myself in this present moment, it was like a whole nother world opened up. I was seeing the present moment very differently from how I had. I wasn't taking anything for granted. I was so present with the people I was with. If you think about your interactions with people, how often do you feel that their mind is elsewhere? They're physically with you, but they're not mentally with you. And I was mentally there with people and receiving them in a big way. And it is so healing to just receive another person, to listen to what they're saying, to just hold space for them. And that was what I was finding, well, I can do that. I can do those things. And so, yeah, it was constant. I mean, it was either that though, or I listened to these thoughts that just made me feel terrible. And I'm like, well, I already physically feel terrible. So, and I can't change that, but I can change the mental, emotional side of things. And so I am just going to not allow myself to go down those rabbit holes. And yeah, I mean, it would happen, and occasionally, I would, but it was how fast can I bring myself back? Right. And that's what I got better and better at. And interestingly, around this same time, I started to meditate. I started to do something called yoga nidra. It's a guided meditation. You do it laying down in a dark room, so you're not seated. And it's a little bit different than other meditations, because once you get into the meditative state, you insert an intention about how you want to be in life. And my intention was just simple. It was, I am open and patient. So it was I want my reaction to every moment to be, I am open. I'm open to the opportunities that are coming in, and I am patient as I allow myself to heal and for life to unfold as it's going to unfold. And that intention was really powerful, because in yoga nidra, it's our conscious mind is kind of hard to change. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
It's through constant repetition, through change a new habit. It's like chipping away at ice. And in the meditative state, it's that ice melts and it's water, and water is way more fluid. It's way more malleable. It takes the shape of whatever vase you put it in. Right. And so if you insert an intention in this meditative state, what happens is that when you become conscious again, it solidifies in there. And now it's just part of you. All right. And that is good programming that I needed. And so I really found a lot of benefit with that. And what was wild was, I think that was the lesson my soul was needing to learn. And it was almost okay, you passed the lesson. Now here's the answer to your physical healing. And literally, we got a phone call from someone that they had come across this breakthrough health technology that supports with cellular healing and communication. And the rest was kind of history, because that changed everything.
Huh. So with that yoga that you were doing, it's kind of a form of gratitude too, because you're I am open to whatever comes.
Yeah.
And I am patient.
Yeah.
It's a form of gratitude with with yourself, being grateful for the opportunity to just be there and to be in the moment.
Well, I'm really happy you mentioned gratitude, because one of the things that my cognitive therapist had suggested I do was a gratitude journal. And I hear people talk about gratitude journals all the time and, the power behind them, et cetera. But what I would question is, have you actually ever done it for an entire year straight? If you do, it will change your life. That's what I started. So when I broke and was like, okay, this is permanent, what am I going to do? I just started to see this cognitive therapist, and it was the first thing she recommended. She said, get a journal, and every night, Danielle, I need you to write down one thing you're grateful for. And this was when I would replay my day, it was all the things that weren't fair, that I couldn't do anymore, that were depressing, and just woe is me, I'm the victim here, blah, blah, blah. And as maybe valid as those thoughts were, yes, I was a victim. I mean, in every sense of it, I got hit by a drunk driver. I was doing nothing wrong. Yes, Danielle was a victim. But when you're in a victim mentality, you got no control. It is just not a good space to oscillate in. And so she caused me to basically rewire how my brain looked at my day. And so I would go back and I would search moment by moment, what is something I could be grateful for? Oh, my friend texted me out of nowhere. It made me smile, just the littlest things. And I start to write them down. And literally by the end of that year, it was I would look through my day and I'm like, there's 100 things I'm grateful for. What's the number one thing today? I don't know. It's hard to pick. And that's changed my entire life, because now stuff just slides off me. I only focus on the things I'm grateful for. And therefore it feeds itself. It's like an incredible feedback loop. You focus on that and more things start to flood in for you to be grateful for.
Yeah. And it also shows you kind of that, hey, my day wasn't that bad. I might have had a few moments that things weren't very good, but all in all, the day was good. And I have a lot to be thankful for.
Yes. It's amazing how our minds, again, they just laser focus on pain points. It's crazy. It is crazy. When you start watching your thoughts, you will start to realize how unhelpful the majority of them are. And it's why are we focused on that? Let it go. Just literally let it go. What's it going to do? Nothing. It's going to make you feel better. And it's possible. I think some people don't realize they don't actually have to pay attention to their thoughts.
Yeah. I know personally from my own experience that the more I started upgrading my mind and learning how to overcome limiting beliefs, and then recognize my thought process and get rid of the bad ones, my life changed for the better.
Yeah, it totally does. I mean, it's these things hold a frequency too. There's a vibration to our emotions. You walk into a room and you can tell if there was just a fight happening, and it's a really kind of weird vibe that you walked into. That's why we have that word. And then there's, you can walk into a room and also feel the happiness that's happening. It's because there's a frequency attached with that. And so if you think about what you're holding within you, you're emanating that. And what's crazy, it's kind of like a radio station. It's well, the frequencies that are the same start to kind of oscillate together. And that's why, you probably have seen this. And I certainly have examples in my own family of people that are constantly complaining. Everything is always terrible, and they've got problems at work, and then home, and then with the relationship, and then with the car, and then with their health, and it's just everything is this downward spiral. And then you got other people that that it's everything's always perfect and it's always going well, and everything's always happy, and da 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 da, and they're spiraling up constantly. And it's well, what gives? Why is that? Are some people just lucky? No, it has to do with the frequency you're holding. And until you realize it, you're going to stay here. And that's what I sort of stumbled upon, right? Is I was in that space of woe is me, and this isn't fair. And so I was just oscillating in that negativity. And then all of a sudden, when I made the inner switch, and again, this is what's so beautiful, is no one can take this away from you. You don't have to wait for someone to do it for you. This is an internal decision that no one can ever change, that you're 100% in control of. And I just said, I'm flipping the switch. We're going this way. And so all of a sudden I'm oscillating in this space of gratitude and looking, making myself find those things. And I believe that is why what got attracted in then was also something to be grateful for around my health, something that could actually address the underlying issue of damaged cells in my brain. And it unlocked that piece, which was massive.
Yeah. So what inspired you to start coaching?
Well, when you walk through something like this, it was, again, a journey. So when I found it was something called redox signaling molecules, this company called ASEA that makes it, and started drinking that. About 3 months into it, started to like realize, hey, the pounding in my head's not there. My ability to concentrate's coming back. And so I started to have this like ray of hope of like, oh, I'm going to be able to like do something in the world again. And when you've been through something like I went through, where it's like everything changed, I did nothing wrong, and like I could have lost my life. Like you realize that you're here by a thread and you can't unknow it. Like once you go through something like that, it's just part of you. You just realize like everything could change tomorrow. There's like this an illusion of everything's safe and secure and fine. And it's an illusion. Okay. Everything can fall apart tomorrow. And so I just said, all right, well, how can I live in the present moment really fully? Like, I definitely don't want to go back to a 9-to-5 job. I don't want to go back to schooling. Like, I want to do something that's going to fulfill me. And I also want to wake other people up to this knowledge, right? To make them live. Because it's like when you're watching people live their life, when you're on the sidelines, you start to see how miserable people are. Like, they're just in loops. They're in loops of their own like despair in their mind, and they're creating all these problems, and they don't even realize they're the ones creating it. And it was like really crazy. It was like looking at people in a trance. And it's like, I felt like I woke up from it. I'm like, I don't want to step back into that. Okay. So what do I do? So it's like, well, how do you integrate back into life? And the first step for me, actually, it wasn't coaching initially. The first step was, okay, there's incredible technology has come across my path. And, my degree, I didn't share this before, but my degree is in biology. I absolutely love the human body. I'm fascinated by it. And out of college, I did Teach for America. I was teaching for those couple of years. And I thought, well, how interesting is this? There's this health technology that works at the cellular level that I just, as a biologist, am fascinated by. And then obviously I've had this incredible result with it. And it was only coming to market through word of mouth because the company realized this stuff won't sell on a store shelf because people don't know what redox molecules are. Like, you've never heard of it. People have never heard of it. And so I said, well, hang on, it requires teaching. Well, I'm a teacher and I love science. And I thought, I think I'll share this with people. And so it started out that I just started sharing because the company would give a referral if you shared. It was like one of these things. And I thought, well, this is worth trying, and I was still getting better. So it's like, I couldn't go get a full-time job. I couldn't do all these like normal things because there was a gradient, to getting back to like full health. But I started to see improvements. And so just 20 minutes a day, you start doing things, you start sharing. And I'll never forget the first time I got paid, and the person is calling me saying, thank you so much. Like, this is helping my health so much. And then I'm getting paid by the company for doing that. And I'm like, well, this is a win-win scenario, and win for the company, win for the person, win for me. And so that's how I started. And then interestingly, like, it was in the network marketing space. So I didn't know about that avenue. Like, it's not something they taught in college. And I didn't really think very highly of that avenue, actually. Like, what I did know sort of in like culturally, it's like, oh, those are pyramid schemes, and like, stay away.
The Ponzi schemes, yeah,
exactly. Like, oh, it's the thing where people at the top get money, and like, you're screwed if you come in later, and nothing's really there to it. And so I kind of fell into it, right? Because I didn't really understand. I just knew like, well, this product is really powerful. And I just started sharing, and then like one thing just sort of led to another. It was kind of like I just kept doing the step that made sense at the time. And I just knew this product is meant to get into people's hands. Like, it came across my path and I'm supposed to share it. And I started to do that. And I started to meet people, and I found some other people that were inspired by the product that they also wanted to share it. And so all of a sudden I was leading a team of people. I was coaching them, I was training them. And I kind of just fell into this leadership role and ended up building an organization that spread around the globe, helped thousands of people. And it was, you just kind of like wake up and you're like, how'd this happen? Well, it just happened because, again, I was just following like this inner knowing. And it was really fascinating because, Ryan, like, you were just cracking jokes about it. Like, my friends are doing that. They're like, Danielle, like, get serious. Like, you're better now. Why don't you go get an actual job?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing network marketing? Like, you got to be kidding me. And I just said, no, guys, you don't understand. Like, I'm making a big difference in people's lives. And for me, the kicker was, this money is going to continue to come even if I lose my health again, because these people love the product. They're going to keep buying it, and I'm going to keep getting paid. And that was what I was looking for, because like going back to a typical 9 to 5, it's like, if you don't have your physical health, you can't work. And it's not something that a normal like 20, 30, even 40-year-old really thinks about, because like, well, you're in your prime. So like your health is sort of even. And for me, it was not. And I couldn't unknow that. And so I thought, okay, for me, security is passive income. It's the residual income. And like, how do you create that? And this was doing that for me. And I was trying to get my friends to see it, but they couldn't see it. You know, for them, it's like, no, we're climbing the corporate ladder. Like, you know, I'm going up in management. My paycheck's huge. Like, what are you talking about? And it's kind of crazy. Fast forward 10 years, right? I've been doing this for a decade. And I was just at a friend from college's wedding, and I was, you know, catching up with everybody. It's been a long time, and fascinating to see how like unfulfilled some of my friends are. I mean, one of my friends like made all the money you could dream of, and he quit. He's like, why am I doing this? Like, what's the point? And I'm like, yeah, that's the realization I had a decade ago. Like, there's another path for you. Just look, you know, it's coming. And that's what I want to tell people. Like, you don't have to go through a traumatic event like I did. Like, you can choose to wake up. Like, you're literally one decision away from a completely different life. And it's okay. Like, it's like they say, leap and the net will appear. It will appear. Like, people are going to come into your world. You're listening to this for a reason. Like, there's people out there that have already kind of left the ordinary and are doing extraordinary things with their life. And the masses will make you think you're crazy, but you're not crazy. You just have a different vision. And the road less traveled sometimes is a little bit more fun.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. There are so many people that will try to steer you away from what your true calling is because they don't understand it.
Exactly. And it's like out of love. Like, I remember literally like an intervention, like a friend of mine took me on a drive and was like, Danny, like, you are so smart and you are so capable. And like, do you understand what you're doing? Like, I mean, just out of genuine concern, like trying to talk me out of the route I was taking. And I'm like, you don't see it. You clearly don't see what I see. If you saw what I saw, you'd be cheering me on, but you don't see it. And that's okay. And like, thank you for caring about me, but I'm going to do me. Like, it's my life. And that's what I think a lot of people, we sort of fold to the social pressure. And what I realized is like, because I lost my health, because I lost all of those things that seemed like they mattered, I realized how little the societal stuff matters. What matters is your life. It's your happiness. It's what like turns you on, right? Like, what lights your fire. Follow that. I know it sounds crazy, but like, there's an off ramp to whatever you're doing. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow, but like, follow your passion in some way, because this is not a dress rehearsal. Like, we are here living this life, and you need to live it to the fullest. And if you're not, like, something in you is knocking, I would say it's your soul saying, you came here for more. You're meant to do more. You're meant to wake up to more. Let's find that potential. Let's pull it out. And it's something interesting. I love the name of your show, Through the Fire. I said that to you when I reached out and we were talking, because what I have found to be true is that sometimes life will throw you into the fire when you're not going the direction you're supposed to be going, when actually you're supposed to be pulling something different from out of you. You're supposed to be finding a new potential that's living inside of you. And that's what I found. It's like, because I went through what I went through, all of a sudden it was like I had access to a different dimension of myself, like self-awareness, confidence, like, and then like, you know, a path that was totally different from anything I'd ever expected. And it's like, I had to walk through the fire to get there, you know, and the fire burned like a lot,
Yeah.
you know, and like, it definitely burned away like an old version of me. It had to die in order for this sort of rebirth to happen. But that other side is so much better than anything that, you know, prior to being thrown in the fire would have happened. And so if anyone's going through it right now, what I'll just say is like, you're blessed. I know it doesn't seem like it. It's a blessing that's in a very strange package, but it's like, what if the divine was giving this to you because like you were meant to learn a really powerful lesson? It's like, hey, you've done great up to this point. It's time to go to the next level. And in order to go to the next level, you need some struggle. You got to go in the fire, because if everything's going good, usually we don't stop. We don't pause. We don't think. We don't look for anything internal. We're just like, everything's great. Yay. These intense moments are really the beautiful moments.
Yeah, you touched on that, and that really is like the core message of everything I talk about is the fire is good. And it took me forever to realize that, because I used to try to run away from it and avoid it. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? That fire in that same circumstance is going to keep presenting itself until you decide to go through it.
100%. And it gets more intense. First, it
Yeah.
starts as like a whisper. And if you ignore it, it's going to come back around and it's going to be bigger and bigger until you cannot ignore it. And
Yeah.
for some people, you know, it requires even like losing their health, because it's like, how do we get your attention? I need to pull your health from you so you pay attention. Like that is, I've watched it happen. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's
It is so crazy. And a lot of what people do not understand, that fire is probably going to lead you to your purpose in life.
Yeah.
And your true calling. And that is such an amazing thing when you finally, that light bulb goes off in your head and you're just like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do with it. This was ordained for me to go through so I can go help other people.
Exactly. And that's what you do. You asked how I got into coaching. It was like, well, I just realized I need to turn around and help some other people through this. And like the business I built with the redox was huge, and it taught me coaching because it was just like a natural step I had to take in it. And then like in tandem with all of this, I was also going through a lot of spiritual development. So I'd found a teacher that I really resonated with. She's the one who taught the yoga Nidra. And I had gone to a training to figure out like, well, can I bring this to other people with brain injury? Because it had been so big for me. And in that training, I came to find out like the first 5 days, it was a 10-day training. The first 5 days were really about understanding the why behind this practice and why it was developed, and a lot of yogic philosophy, like Eastern philosophy. And these yogis, I mean, they spent their time contemplating things like, hey, if there was a single truth that if known solved everything, what would that truth be? And I'll never forget sitting the first day in that training, and she kind of says this, and, you know, I won't go through the whole teaching, but basically what comes out is it's the realization, that truth, if you know this, it is the realization that you are not your thoughts. And I remember sitting there going, well, that's exactly what I realized. Like, yes, that is like the most liberating thing. And then it went on from there to disidentify, to do all this stuff. And I just thought, what else do these yogis know? So I became just totally enthralled with this ancient philosophy. And so I went to trainings, and then I would teach with my teacher and assist. And for a decade now, you know, I've been studying that. And so I just realized at one point, like I was using it for my own internal growth and kind of evolution and conscious level of awareness, like shifting and like just understanding myself and this world on a different level. And then I realized, I watched it in my own coaching with, you know, with that first business, how much people would just kind of get stuck in their own mentalization, and where they were having things from their past and they didn't quite know how to shake them. They could even point to it and say, you know, I know it's this. I know I have this fear of abandonment, or I have this fear of rejection. I don't know how to shake it. And I was over here learning, you know, through these teachings, ways to release those things, like how you bypass the mind and how you go to where this is actually living in the subconscious, in the body, and how you release those things. And I just said, okay, I think it's time. Like I've done the work on myself. I've spent a decade learning, doing, like living this, really integrating what these teachings are and these techniques. I think it's time that I bring this to people. And it was just like a natural next step to do it. And I have loved it. It has been such a blessing to be able to take people through this. And yeah, it's like the mental, emotional, spiritual side of life. It's huge. I think it's like soul level healing, you know, that I'm able to help people through now.
That is so amazing. I think it's, for anything with personal development, you need to take more of a holistic approach to mind, body, spirit. Anyways, instead of so many people try to focus on one thing, it's like incorporate all three. You're going to go so much further.
Yes. And the spirit side, like, I didn't have context for that, you know, prior. I didn't really understand what that was really about. and it was really a big, I would call it spiritual awakening, what I went through, like this concept of like, well, if I'm not my thoughts, then who am I? And how do I get to this witnessing space that's beyond it all? And when I access that, why do I feel so calm? Like, what is that permeating presence? It's so loving. It's so just, it's all allowing. It feels wonderful to rest there. And how can I bring that, you know, into my day to day? How can I live through that space rather than through my mind? And it's a very different way to access the world. And it's fascinating. What I have found is the more I'm able to do that within myself, it's like it's almost like a beacon. It's like the light inside of other people. They see it, they feel it, not quite like sure why, but they're attracted towards it, you know? And so it's like all of a sudden, like your own light, your own realization of all of this, it attracts in other people that are also searching. And then you can be a guide. And I don't think there's anything better than being able to support other people on their journey. It's like,
Yeah.
we're all humans.
I usually said I found out a lot too that what you usually struggle with and go through is preparation to go help somebody else.
For sure. Yes. Totally agree. I totally agree. And there's always people that are further along the path than you that you'll learn from, and then you turn around and I think it's also like you got to stay humble. It's not like you're better than somebody else because of what you've been through in any way. And I see some people kind of getting way too much ego involved in their work, and I'm like, have some humility, you know. It's just like your soul learned that lesson maybe a little bit faster, and so now you can turn and teach it, but guaranteed that person also has learned something you haven't learned yet.
Yeah.
And you can learn from them. Like there should always be some sort of exchange. I feel like every appointment we have is a divine appointment. Us meeting is a divine appointment. People listening to this, it's a divine appointment. Like there is something that you're either supposed to give or gain from that interaction. And can you imagine, you know, Ryan, living in a world where that's how everybody views every connection that they make. You know,
life would be so much better.
Yes. And that's the world I want to live in. So it's the world I like to create. And I think it happens one interaction at a time, one person at a time, and it just starts to kind of pay forward and go from there.
What's probably the biggest challenge your clients seem to face?
Well, I think it's kind of like realizing I watch a lot of people go through talk therapy or a lot of personal development, right? They're like, I've read the books, I know the things, I say the affirmations, and yet things are still not shifting. Or they're like, look, I can understand, I can even through my mind point to the thing that's holding me back, the thing that happened as a child, the thing that whatever. Like I know what it is on a mental level, but I can't change it. It's like the energy of it is just like dead weight. You know, it's just hanging around. I don't know how to shake it. And like just this morning, I was working with a lady. She lost her husband several years ago. And she's like, I know he would want me to be happy. I know he would want me to be out there living life. And yet I can't shake this sadness, like this loneliness, this grief that's here. And I'm like, yeah, because like there are layers. So there's the mental body, your mind, understanding things. Then you have your emotional, the feeling body. And most people don't want to go there. They don't want to feel that stuff. And what I have found, and in the work that I have done, is that that's where most stuff is living. It's like the emotions from an event never really got to sort of pass through. We never allowed them. We mentalized and said, no, you shouldn't feel this way. Or we've numbed ourselves out. We've pushed it into the closet. You know, we've just willed ourselves forward. And the reality is the energy, the emotional charge of that event, it lives in your body. Understanding that your body is your subconscious is a massive, like, for me, it was like earth shattering. When I first heard that, I went, wait, what? And then I started to understand, okay, so these blocks that we have, they physically manifest somewhere, and they manifest in your body. And this is where like somatic work comes in. This is where if you can go into the body, like, why do you always have an upset stomach? Why do you always have that low back pain? Why is your neck always stiff? It's unique to you because there's an energy event living there. And this is what the yogis knew. Their understanding of the mind-body connection was just incredible. The insight is so profound. And so what do they teach? They teach you how to go in there to feel that and release it. And like just this morning, as an example. So in my session this morning with my student, brought up the situation, right, with the husband. And she said, I said, feel it in your body. Where do you feel it? And all of a sudden, I mean, she said, it feels like 100 pounds are on my chest. My chest is caving in. There's so much pressure on my chest. And then my role is to create the space where it feels safe to feel that, to allow it to move through. And so I did that. And it came out, like tears came and, you know, but it released. And at the end of the session, she's like, I feel so light. And I'm like, yes, you finally allowed the emotion of that grief that you've been hanging on to and trying to will yourself around and forward. You finally let it go. That's how true healing happens. That's when now it's not going to come back and rear its head again because you actually finally processed it. And that's, I mean, each person, you know, it's a different thing that's living in there. But I would say the common thing I see with most people is there's just undigested stuff from the past that they didn't deal with, that they pushed away, that through their mind, they thought they got past or got over. And it's teaching them to go find where that's living and actually release it. It's like pulling out the issue at the root. You know, you really actually get it then, rather than just, I think about like these weeds. It's like, you can take the lawnmower over it and you chop the weed down.
Yeah.
Next week, it's back.
Yeah.
And so you need to pull it out at the root. And I think a lot of like what I found in my own journey too is talk therapy, the mindset work. It was almost like I kept chopping that weed off. And so, yeah, okay, it wasn't as tall, it wasn't as strong, but it kept rearing its freaking head. Like it would just kept coming back. And this learning that, oh, you go to the subconscious, the body is the subconscious. I go into the body, I feel it. It removes the whole thing. I mean, that's why I say it's like soul level healing. It is massive healing that happens, and breakthroughs.
Yeah, I can only imagine, especially getting there toward the spiritual side of it and the healing, because society nowadays kind of tells you just push everything down.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. Just push it all down. Well,
Yes.
Eventually that stuff's got to come up somewhere.
It does. And I think what happens for most people is it comes up when they retire. It comes up when they're older, when the body can no longer sort of just like hold on to it and like push through. And all of a sudden the body just starts screaming and it says, we can't anymore, you know? And that's why a lot of people, like, as soon as they sort of stop in retirement, the body just starts rearing its head with all sorts of health issues. And it's fascinating because it's all this emotional stuff that they didn't deal with. They tried to will themselves through. And yeah, our society, 100%, it's like socially acceptable to do that. In fact, you know, I'm here to sort of raise the flag and say, no, there's a better way. You know, you can get to your end of your life, and your body be happy and vibrant because it's not having to hold on to all this stuff. And that's how I want to be.
Yeah. What types of services do you provide?
Well, when it comes to like your physical health, I do a lot of education still to this day around the redox because I believe that that's something that everyone's body can benefit from. And so I do consultations around well, what's going on in your system and what's out of homeostasis from anything. I mean, just you name it, I've probably supported someone with it. The redox is powerful. And then beyond that, you know, the sort of mental, emotional, spiritual side, like we've been talking about, I do a lot of private work with people working on specific issues with them, either parts of the body that are chronically hurting or situations that they can't quite release. And I offer workshops. Online through my YouTube channel. I have several different YouTube channels, one around the redox, another around book club. I really find that, you know, what you feed your mind is so important. And so I do a lot of different book clubs. I think we've been through 7 so far. We're on the 7th or 8th book. It's called Enlightened Minds. And it's just a space, it's free. It's just a space to come in and connect in community around and have these conversations to just develop ourselves, you know, on a spiritual level to expand our consciousness, which we all should be doing. And then my third channel is Heal with Danielle, and it's offering the ability to do exactly what I was just kind of sharing, to go into the body and release things that are living there, and I guide you through it. There's also yoga nidras on there. So, you know, I want people to have access to everything. And then the private work, we can go deeper. The workshops, you get a little bit more insight into the philosophy behind it, which I love because it's like understanding why you're doing something, I think opens you up even more to the process, right? It's like understanding what a tool is supposed to be used for. Like I handed you a hammer, like you could use it to prop open the door. Great. Like, okay, it accomplished that. But then if I showed you like, well, watch what it does with a nail, you'd be like, whoa, that is so efficient. And that's what I like to teach in my workshops is like, okay, this is what this is going to accomplish for you. How would you like to live with a quiet mind? How would you like to get rid of, you know, that lingering heaviness that you can't quite shake? Like, how would you like to get rid of that chronic shoulder pain? We can. And that's what we do. Awesome.
Can you tell us about your ebook?
Oh yeah, Mind Control. I forgot about that. I love that book. So it's just, I mean, it's essentially what I shared here. It's actually, it just kind of weighs out and shares the journey of what I learned and a few more insights that we didn't get into, just how you can start to see your own patterns. You can start to see the places where maybe we need to insert a new intention, a new way of being. And yeah, people can have access to that. I'll give you a link. They can get it in the show notes.
Awesome. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on all the normal social platforms, but I would say if you go to the Heal with Danielle YouTube channel, that's where some great new content is coming out. I just launched that channel. So there's a lot of value there, and you can get my email address. You can get all the other social platforms. It's all there. And I'd say that's an easy way to connect in.
Yeah, and I'll put all that in the show notes. I might need you to send me the thing for the book club because I think that would be a good resource for people.
Oh, it's fantastic. And the books are so good. I mean, it's authors like Eckhart Tolle, Michael Singer, Wayne Dyer, like just these incredible thought leaders. And they put their stuff into these books. And sometimes it's hard to digest on your own. Like it's big concepts, that they're sharing. But when you really can understand them and integrate them and see how they apply to your life, that's the conversation I try to have is, okay, let's take this and let's make it tangible in your life. Like, how can it shift things, today? And they're all there. So I just had a lady comment, I just finished, this series with Michael Singer, and now I'm going to go do the Wayne Dyer book. And that's what I wanted. I wanted this to be out there for people to kind of walk through at their own pace. And then if you want to join us with the current book club, you can.
Awesome. Is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to talk about?
No, you've asked great questions. It's really a blessing to get to share this. And, if you're still listening, guys, if something resonates, just reach out. It's my pleasure to be able to navigate. And maybe if what I do doesn't serve you, I know so many people. My network has just expanded over the last decade with people that are supporting others on their healing journey. And so I might be able to refer you and support you, but just know you're not alone. What you're going through, you're meant to grow through it. And just embrace it. It's painful, but hey, so is going to the gym. So is working out your muscles. I think we all embrace that physical pain, but for some reason, when it comes to the mental, emotional pain, we wither away. And I'm like, no, it's going to make you just as strong. Okay. So go towards it, move into the fire. It's going to build you even stronger.
Yes. And that's the scariest part is the mental and emotional pain for most people. I can vouch for that.
People just want life to be easy and simple. And it's no, it's there's polarity, right? We have day and night, it's going to cycle always. And if you just stop choosing, stop having preference, I only want good, I never want bad. Then whenever bad shows up, you're going to have a miserable time. Just accept it all and realize in this phase, I'm learning something or I'm releasing something, and there's something good that's going to come out of it always.
Yeah. All right. Final question. What is one piece of advice you'd like to leave our listeners with about overcoming adversity?
I would just simply ask yourself, what is this challenge making possible? That question will just totally shift your perspective. It'll give you a different lens to look at the situation that you're in and that adversity and kind of see, okay, well, if this is a gift, what is it making possible? And an answer will come, I promise.
Great advice. Well, Danielle, it has been a pleasure having you on here. You are such an inspiration and you have such a great story.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on. I love what you do. Your show, through the fire. I'm like, yes, yes. So, keep sharing, and I appreciate you, Ryan.
Hey, I appreciate you too. Well, guys, that's going to be all the time we have here today. Remember, the only way to get what you want is go through the fire.